Under the pale spectral glow of a full moon, the old manor stood silent and skeletal against the bruised purple sky. Its Gothic spires clawed at the clouds like bony fingers, and its windows, like 1,000 vacant eyes, stared out into the desolate, overgrown grounds. This was a place where time itself seemed to have died, leaving behind only decay and a profound, chilling silence that clung to the air like a damp shroud. Legends whispered of its haunted history, of sorrows and secrets trapped within its crumbling walls, a dark heart beating faintly in the center of the forgotten estate. A lone figure, a young explorer named Leo, approached the imposing structure, his heart a frantic drum against his ribs. The beam of his flashlight sliced through the oppressive darkness, a fragile sword of light against an army of shadows. The front door loomed before him, a massive oak barrier intricately carved with figures that seemed to writhe and twist in the dancing light. Every gust of wind through the gnarled trees sounded like a mournful sigh, urging him to turn back. Yet an inexplicable pull, a morbid curiosity, compelled him forward, step by hesitant step, toward the threshold of the unknown. With a deep breath and a surge of adrenaline, he pushed against the heavy door. It resisted at first, then groaned open with a deep, protracted creak that echoed like a wail of torment. The sound grated on his nerves, a protest from the house itself against his intrusion. Beyond the threshold lay a grand cavernous foyer, suffocated by a thick tapestry of cobwebs that hung from the high vaulted ceiling like grotesque chandeliers. Dust motes danced like frantic spirits in his flashlight beam, and the shadows in the far corners seemed to writhe and coalesce, playing tricks on his already frayed senses. The air was frigid and stale, thick with the scent of damp earth and something else, something cloyingly sweet, like wilted flowers on a grave. As Leo ventured deeper, his footsteps muffled by the thick layer of dust on the marble floor, the silence began to break. Faint, disembodied whispers slithered from the darkness, just at the edge of his hearing, their words indistinct, but their intent undeniably malevolent. The soft, rhythmic clinking and dragging of chains began to echo from the upper floors, a sound that sent a fresh wave of ice through his veins. Each noise seemed to be drawing him further into the mansion's decaying heart, a siren's call leading him toward a terrible revelation. He gripped his flashlight tighter, its beam a meager shield against the encroaching dread. His exploration led him into a long, narrow portrait gallery. Dozens of paintings lined the walls, their subjects dressed in antiquated finery, their faces stern and unforgiving. As he walked, a terrifying sensation washed over him. The eyes in the portraits seemed to follow his every move. He stopped, sweeping his light across their painted faces, but they remained static, their gazes fixed and lifeless. Yet the feeling persisted, an unnerving sense of being watched, judged by the long-dead inhabitants of the manor. The air grew colder still, and the whispers intensified, now seeming to come from the very portraits themselves. At the far end of the hall, where the shadows were deepest, a figure began to coalesce. It shimmered into existence, a translucent, ethereal form of a woman in a tattered white gown. Her face was a mask of profound, unending sorrow, and her spectral eyes were fixed on him, filled with a silent plea. Slowly, she raised a shimmering, insubstantial arm and pointed a trembling finger toward a heavy, sealed door at the end of the gallery. No sound came from her, but her message was clear, a desperate, silent scream from beyond the grave. The sight shattered Leo's remaining courage. A raw, primal fear seized him, and he stumbled backward, his breath catching in his throat. He couldn't scream. The sound was trapped behind a wall of pure terror. Turning on his heel, he fled, his boots pounding against the dusty floors, the sound of his own panicked flight echoing through the haunted halls. He didn't dare look back, terrified that the sorrowful spirit would be right behind him. He burst through the front door and into the cold night air, gulping it down as if he had been drowning. He didn't stop running until the manor was a distant, dark silhouette. He cast one final fearful glance over his shoulder. In an upper window, a faint, ghostly silhouette was visible, watching him go. The old manor kept its secrets, and as Leo disappeared into the night, the sorrowful ghost of the lady in white returned to her eternal, lonely vigil, forever trapped within the walls of her desolate home.